And I understand he's interested in process, and I'm not saying that process isn't important. And it seems to me that that's the main issue with respect to all of this. And I look forward to talking further with my friend, Mr. Warner, about that. I mean, for 4 years under President Biden, as was his right, the topic of discussion in Washington was who needs to pay more in taxes? Who needs to pay more in taxes? That's no longer the main question. The main question is now, as it should be in my judgment, what the hell happened to all the money? And we're going to find out. Now, I need to get back to the subject. With the exception of Mr. Klein, whose testimony I enjoyed, I understand his position. He wants to let the CFPB run America's banks. And I appreciate that perspective, but Mr. Klein, it's not going to happen in your natural lifetime or mine. Now, let me turn to the other gentlemen. What I hear Mr. McCauley, Mr. Ring, and Mr. Gannon saying is that some of America's banks have been discriminating, debanking customers because of their religious beliefs, because they support the Second Amendment, or because they hate fossil fuels. I don't want to go with all three of you. I'll run out of time. Mr. Ring, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Which banks?
Well, I think it's been publicly reported that Bank of America has certainly picked and choose winners.
Who else?
I think Chase Bank has.
Who else?
I think Citibank has.
Who else?
I think KeyBank has.
Who else?
I'm going to probably run out of names pretty soon, but I think the mega banks are. Old Glory Bank is not, of course. We love the Second Amendment and fossil fuels.
We need to get those banks in here, Mr. Chairman. We need to get all those CEOs in here.
I would agree.
Now, why? I appreciate your candor. Why do you think, are banks doing this because they're scared of the regulators? Or are they doing this because the people running the banks are prosecuting their political beliefs? I mean, when a bank holds a seminar, taking up valuable employee time to discuss whether a man can breastfeed, are they doing that because regulators are leaning on them, or are they doing that because the CEO really thinks that's subject to debate?
I think it's definitely the latter, and I think it's also middle management.
What do you mean the latter?
It is not the regulators. I do not believe the regulators pushed the big banks to debank conservative causes.
Don't?
I do not. I think it was their internal choice by these big banks.
Why?
Well, why? The same reason why big tech pick and choose winners. I think big banks pick and choose winners that they care about, and that's why we need a market solution, because you can't regulate that type of behavior without having unintended consequences. And now every time you get a customer application, you've got to fill out 5 forms as to why you did or did not pick that customer.
So you think that that's the management of these banks that are just imposing their own politics on customers and ultimately to the detriment of shareholders? Is that your testimony?
Yes, sir.
Either you two gentlemen in my last 10 seconds disagree with that?
I strongly disagree, Senator. Yes, I've spent a lot of time with a number of bank CEOs.
Who do you think it is?
I believe it's the regulators.
How about you, sir?
It's definitely regulators. All the big banks wanted to work with crypto and were scared away from it by the regulatory apparatus.
All right, I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a bombshell hearing with Senator John Kennedy. Are major banks silencing conservatives by shutting down their accounts? Kennedy wasn't holding back, and neither are we. Hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. All right, let's get into it. So let's set the stage. Senator Kennedy calls out Washington's shifting priorities. He questions, where did all the money go, demanding accountability. Then he pivots to the debanking of conservatives, people losing access to financial services due to their beliefs. Now here's where things get really interesting. Witnesses name names, big banks like Bank of America, Chase Bank, Citibank, KeyBank. They're accused of denying services based on political views. Think about that. Imagine your account shut down for your beliefs. That's political discrimination. Kennedy asks the million-dollar question, are banks scared of regulators, or are CEOs pushing their own politics? Even the witnesses disagree. One says it's internal, banks acting like big tech. Another argues it's the regulators. What do you think? Drop a comment. Is this government pressure or corporate activism? If this sounds like Silicon Valley, that's because it is. Big tech silences conservatives online. Big banks are shutting down financial access. Social media deplatforms people for their views. Financial institutions are playing the same game. And Kennedy? He's not letting this slide. He demands that these bank CEOs testify and answer for their actions. So where do we go from here? Kennedy made it clear. This isn't just about one or two cases. This is about the entire financial system being weaponized. If these banks are picking and choosing who gets to participate in the economy, if regulators are pushing an agenda, if there's no accountability, then this isn't a free financial system anymore. The good news? This fight isn't over. Kennedy and others are pushing back, demanding transparency, and calling for market solutions that put power back in the hands of the people, not political elites. But if we don't speak out now, this problem is only going to get worse. So what do you think? Are banks acting out of political bias, or are they just scared of regulators? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget, smash that like button. Subscribe for updates on free speech and financial freedom. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.